Hello, everyone, and good morning. Here it is the regular Sunday morning meditation followed by a Dharma talk. So, nice to see you all. So, this morning we'll start as usual with the prayers. First is the refuge, which is acknowledgement of the incredible clarity and compassion and sanity in which we can live when we are in refuge in the triple gem, when we continue to remember the qualities and the ways and methods that our mind finds when we switch on the light of refuge, how much safer and how much constant saving we do from our not so unskillful ways of thinking and perceiving and reacting. So we will do the refuge prayer to start with, to acknowledge the qualities of the Buddha, the Dharma, Sangha, and reiterate, renew our refuge, and renew our commitment, and then generation of the right bodhicitta motivation with which we will conduct ourselves in doing this session of meditation and teaching. This is just a formality, but informally, this should be the way in all situations. We should remember the teachings and how to follow the kind and compassionate way that the teaching shows. So we will do the refuge and four immeasurables to start with. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Ajara Vyuja Ladama Bhavacha Ajendala Ajara Buddha and Abu Dhamma Sangha Ajara Vijaladam Bhavacha Ajavandala Ashara Buddha and Abu Dhamma Sangha Ajara Vyuja Aladam Bhavacha Ajavandala Ashara Buddha Udubis. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a power from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, of those never. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a power from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those never. May all beings happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. So this morning's topic of the talk is the fourth noble truth, the noble truth of the Eightfold Path. So I thought it would be good to combine this Eightfold Path as part of this morning's meditation, because if you look at the Eightfold Path, so I would like to go from the bottom up, rather than top down. So first you have to do the art of the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is divided into three parts, consisting of discipline, meditation, and wisdom. So the wisdom is the one you get as a result of your meditation, and the meditation is the formal practice you should do, and discipline is what you should engage in every day to do action. So therefore here we'll try to combine these three, the Shila. The Shila is the discipline, and then Samadhi is the meditation, which we will do, and Prajna, which is the wisdom, is what we gain from practicing. So here, let's because Eightfold Path constitute all of these eight. So let us do the normal 3 slots of 10 minutes meditation, and that is the eighth noble path. Eighth noble path is right meditation. So we will therefore observe our attention, because the eighth noble path is concentration, meditative concentration. So we need to stay very still in our attention and intention, and focus on the techniques of which we will do each 3 slots of time: the mindfulness posture, forward counting of qualified round breathing, and then reverse counting of super qualified round breathing. So that is the eighth noble path of the meditative concentration. And the seventh one is the right mindfulness. So we do this, each of the meditative concentration with the right mindfulness. So mindfulness has to be intersected with the concentration. So therefore, Eightfold Path means this has to be, all the eight has to be part of like a wheel. All the 8 spokes has to be there for the wheel to turn. So we need to intersect the right mindfulness doing, but the posture, the inhaling, the exhaling, knowing what to think, seeing what are we doing, feeling, all of that constitute the mindfulness, yeah? So mindfulness, right mindfulness. And so with this, all of this we do with 6th Eightfold Path, which is the right effort. We should do with a good, sharp, not sloppy, not uptight, not overzealous, not disengaged, but really moderate application, So right effort. So we do this breathing, sitting in the right posture, and inhaling, and all of those with the right degree of effort, wholeheartedly, doing that with what we call sincere attention. We have to do it with sincerely and the right effort. And so then the fifth one is traditionally called right livelihood. That means we try to do this as a fullness of our life. It's not some kind of a extra burden that we have to do meditation each day, that we have to do. We should see that as a comprehensive, holistic way of life. That is our right livelihood. This is our life. Life hinges on how well we do these things. So right livelihood, it's totally connected with how we live every day, not just on the cushion at the moment. And of course, then this will then give you the the right action. So you should stay physically, right speech. You're observing silence. See, these are the other noble path, and the Eightfold Path, and the fourth and third, and then the fifth. Second is right attitudes. You should do this with right attitudes. Right thought. And then if you did all the above, then the first Eightfold Path is right view. And you do this also with all feelings are impermanent, all perceptions are not real, I'm not body, all things are impermanent, life is unsatisfactory, so they shouldn't be disappointed, reacting, and we shouldn't act so impatiently when there are unsatisfactory things in every situation. We should just have this humility to accept them. And that's the kind of right view. Even things are really difficult, but this will be over. These are impermanent, and there is no real self, creator of it. Let alone the created one is not truly existent. So what's the point of, reacting all of that? With this short summation, I'd like you to do the meditation this morning. So I'll now use the gong to time those 10-minute slots. So after that, I will elaborate on the Eightfold Path. Thank you. So, thank you everyone. With that meditation, if you do the right meditation, meditative concentration, all of the Eightfold Paths are need to be combined with the right mindfulness, right effort, and so on. Of course, not to mention your right action, sitting in the posture, the right speech, and silent, and all of that. Anyway, today's topic is the fourth noble truth of the path. So noble truth of the path is a very big topic, because it is that practice of which puts the truth of the cessation, and the talk we did in last week. The truth of cessation, which is a cessation of all the suffering and its causes, only becomes the result of following the truth of the path. So the truth of the path constitute entire Buddhist path, from the Theravada to the Mahayana and Vajrayana. All of them constitute the truth of the path. The path itself may be divided into Theravadan path, Mahayana path, Vajrayana path, but that's not three different paths, but it's actually three different methods on the following the same path, really. So when we look at the Eightfold Path, these are divided into these Eightfold Paths. Some people call them step 1, step 2, counting from the top down, counting down. So that's a very simplistic way of putting very, very sort of, I would say, very, very baby. For the baby Buddhists, you can teach them as first step is a step down from 1, and all the step 8 is eightfold in the right meditation. But actually, that's a really, really oversimplistic way of teaching Buddhism, which quite a lot of people do these days. But they don't realize the Eightfold Path constitutes the entire path. And so that's why there are different methods, different ways how each of those people practice the Eightfold Path. The eighth of the Eightfold Path is the meditative concentration. And then, of course, they do not really differ to gain the wisdom. If they gain the wisdom, the wisdom is the result of the meditation, and so that's why the meditation is. I would rather put the Eightfold Path, which is the noble truth, the meditative concentration, as a one first. You have to do the meditative concentration first. So that's why in Buddhism, the meditation is very important. So let's therefore look at all the Eightfold Path, not counting from the top down 1, 2, 3, as we normally do ordinarily, but we will reverse the ordinal count. See, we will put the number 1 on that Eightfold Path, which is the noble truth of path of meditation. Path of meditative concentration. Now, whether we use the word we use the word right meditation or perfect meditation is some people use skillful. Instead of using the right and the perfect, right seems to be again the kind of opposite of the wrong. And perfect seems to be perfect of the opposite of imperfect. But maybe you can use the skillful, so maybe we can use the word, Sanskrit word is samyak. Samyak, it means, let's say samyak in Tibetan, yang takpa. Yang means again, takpa means pure again, perfect again. So first of the Eightfold Path, I would use mainly meditative concentration. It is so when you count from the ground up, so you start one with the meditative concentration. So the meditative concentration is the crucial. You cannot experience the path without yourself learning to develop meditative concentration. So that's why often people introduce to Buddhism through meditation. You can't impose people with the right view and right action, right speech, right from the very beginning. You can't. People don't come to Buddhism because they want to learn right view or right action or right action, right speech. They're not coming for. They're coming for right meditation. Most people coming to learn to meditation. They don't even want to learn about Buddhism. They want to learn about meditation because meditation is fairly sort of secular in the sense it appeals to everyone without talking about the right view and so on. So therefore, first is the right meditative concentration. Meditative concentration constituted by meditative concentration, generally speaking, is two meditative concentration. One pointed meditative concentration of calm abiding and a special insight meditative concentration. So even though they may be shown as a two different, they should be unified. Both shamatha, calm abiding meditative concentration, and vipassana meditative concentration has to be hand in hand. They need to be combined. They need to complementarily use one in the other, not one without the other. Even though it will be argued that even though people who teach vipassana, they're actually teaching the basics for foundation mindfulness, which is the practice of mindfulness of the calm abiding meditative concentration. So meditative concentration gives you experience how to calm and control your thoughts, your feelings, emotions, and so on. So primarily the right meditative concentration start with the four foundation mindfulness. Foundation mindfulness of body, foundation of mindfulness of feelings, foundation mindfulness of thoughts, and foundation mindfulness of the phenomena. These four are crucial foundation of all meditative concentration. So if you realize the if you have the foundation mindfulness of the body, you will know your body is not pure, not self. If you have a good foundation mindfulness feeling, you realize all your feelings are impermanent. And if you have good foundation mindfulness of the thought, you realize all your thoughts are illusory, let alone the object regarding which you are forming those thoughts. And foundation mindfulness phenomena, all the phenomena are just perception of your own and designation. They do not truly exist from their own side. So therefore, by meditating on the four foundation of meditation, which is the right meditation, it directly goes to boost realization of the four seals. You will see that, the right view. The right view is the first eighth of the Noble Path, which is the right view. The right view is like the harvest. Right view is the harvest from the field cultivation or for the agricultural work of the meditative concentration. You have to do the actual work of meditative concentration. Then you experience that all things, body is unsatisfactory, impure, feelings are impermanent, and our thoughts are illusory. All phenomena are merely designated by us. Therefore, there is neither self nor phenomena that truly exist. So you can actually see how the first is the right meditative concentration gives the eighth, which is the realization of the right view. So I think this very Buddhist students have to really understand whether you do just basic four foundation mindfulness of sitting still and watching the breath and scanning the body, or you do elaborate bodhicitta motivation or meditation on exchanging self with others, or even you do the deity yogas. All of these meditative concentrations are all meditative, eighth of the right meditation. They are right meditation, different methods of meditation. Meditation that emphasize renunciation, meditative practice that emphasize on generation bodhicitta, and a meditative concentration that focuses on the right view. Like all the Vajrayana meditative concentration is visualization and deity yoga, which is actually right meditative concentration, the right view. So that's the eighth of the eight fold path, right meditative concentration. Usually, whichever of these meditative concentration you do in Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, they all will help you to combine calm, abiding, special insight combined together. Through this calm, serene mentality, you will be able to achieve a great insight in knowing that. So you need to therefore develop the experience of the right view in your meditative concentration, through your meditative concentration. So if the meditative concentration, be it Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, is free of the five hindrances, an effective application of the eight antidotes, then you will achieve the 9 levels of calm, abiding, meditative concentration, and you will experience the insight of seeing the eightfold path, the right view, very, very clearly through your meditative concentration. The self is merely designated to aggregates, its body is impure, feelings are impermanent, thoughts are not real, and there is no real self. All of these will be revealed through the good unification of calm, abiding, special meditative concentration. Vajrayana or deity yoga, or just merely meditating on the relative and ultimate bodhicitta, or just pure renunciation and meditative on the corpses and 9 levels of the body decomposition, as in meditating on the death. The Theravada tradition teaches, they emphasize renunciation there. But the idea of the renunciation is meditative concentration is to boost this realization that all body, be that our body or the body that we think we are attracted to, are all by nature constructs of this framework of skeleton plastered with flesh, covered in skin, cosmetics, looks very appealing, but when it is actually nothing but a heap of undesirable, impure objects, impure body. So that is actually a renunciation model of meditation, which I call an exclusive model of Buddhist meditation. Mahayana Buddhist meditation is inclusive meditation. They meditate mainly on the loving kindness and compassion, and how every sentient being is our mother, and we must remember who they are and remember their kindness and make a vow to repay their kindness, and no matter how unruly they may seem, we should try to practice loving kindness and compassion to them. So therefore, whole meditative concentration is focused on the idea of embracing the object out of loving kindness, rather than rejecting them as a pile of impure substances. So you can see the whole methodology of Mahayana is the inclusive methodology. It doesn't exclude the object. It includes the object as not something to repulsive, to renounce, to reject dualistically, but rather to embrace them as an unrecognized mother and kind and compassionate object of forgiveness and tolerance and so on. See, this Mahayana meditative concentration using inclusive methodology. Now, the Vajrayana meditative concentration, I'll call it transformative methodology. It neither sort of reject one as impure, nor sort of embrace them as something lovely, but rather see both of them as not truly existing. So therefore, transformed into emptiness, and therefore neither the beautiful body nor the ugly body truly exists. They need to be both transformed into emptiness and then transformed in the form of deity yoga. So these are the three different meditative concentration of the three yanas. So that's the eighth of the eightfold noble path, right meditation. If you did any of these three meditation properly, if possible, combine all them together, then you will have the second one, right mindfulness in everyday life situation, not just on the cushion, outside your meditative concentration, depending how good you are, I suppose, your enduring mindfulness is. That's called right mindfulness. Then you will stay present in this mindfulness. Then you remain mindful that all things that appear are not as they are. They present themselves. They are just mere in this designation of our own desirous mind, or our deluded mind, or compassionate mind, or pure perception mind. So we were going to be mindful. The objects are not truly exist from their own side. They are just a reflection of either our desire or our aversion to it, or ignorance of it. If we have the right view, we see all as deity from the Vajrayana point of view. Right, Vajrayana, right mindfulness would be to see everyone as a deity, and sound as a mantra, and thought as emptiness. From the Mahayana's point of view, all sentient beings as your object of compassion and kindness and tolerance. From Theravada, they always develop renunciation, even in everyday life. So the right mindfulness, they will always see everything as the walking skeletons. If good Theravadan monks would see nothing but skeletons, and he himself is covered in a robe, but also as another skeleton. So a skeleton watching a skeleton. So that would be right mindfulness. Highly realized mindfulness will be seeing each other as skeletals. But Mahayanas would like to see everybody as one's mother, and therefore never, even if they are harsh, or they're aggressive, they're attractive, or they're very difficult, but see them as one's mother. That would be the right mindfulness, And from Vajrayana point of view, everything is deities, So that is the right mindfulness I would like to put. And then the sixth one is right effort, Right effort is you got to put all your time and energy to remember these, and not to lose these renunciation and bodhicitta and the right view model. Not forgetting any of these three, putting all our effort into our mindfulness to remember this in everyday situation, then your effort will greatly boost your ability to not becoming exhausted by the lack of these three principles of the path. When you have the three principles path with the renunciation and bodhicitta and the right view, this is the right view. This is the right effort. Your effort is so engaged, so that you are actually able to see in this way continuously. When you have this, then that is right effort. Right effort isn't just always being very uptight, how I should practice, how I shouldn't do this. This is the right time to do. I did too many things. I haven't done 4 more. I shouldn't have done. I should have done 2 hours when I only did hour and a half. This is so not being very, that kind of uptight right effort is not right effort. That's not skillful effort. Unskilled. Lots of people are putting overzealous effort. Here in this case, right effort is being able to skillfully dispense your 3 principles of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, and right view, together, everyday situation, and that is right effort. So that's the 6th one. And the 5th one is the right livelihood, isn't it? So right livelihood is as a Mahayana or Theravada Vajrayana, of course, according to general Buddhist principles, you try to live a very, very fair way of life. You do not try to take advantage of others, materially, business, whatever. You try not to engage in any kind of ways of profiting yourself, not engage in certain professions, livelihood, and so on. Of course, renunciate wouldn't. Renunciate's right livelihood will be just live on alms. And Mahayanas would would see everything what we have as a gift of others, we should never think anything we have is my possession, but it's a gift of other people, which actually they are, our body included, our education included, not to mention your material possessions, even the money that you have in the bank. It's because you earn wages, a wage paid to you by your employer, and some people from the government, and so on. So these all the things are not mine. They are. So the right livelihood is one should therefore share others. If one has a bit more than the other needs more than ourselves, that would be the Mahayana way of right livelihood. Of course, for Vajrayana, right livelihood is Vajrayana takes even small amount of food. They do not eat food mindlessly. They treat if they offer the food as offering to oneself the deity, and so therefore the right livelihood is not just outwardly not engaging in wrong livelihood, but even if you do live in a right livelihood, still see them as a pure offering to yourself, the deity, and so that way right livelihood. That's the fifth one. Then fourth one is the right speech. Of course, right speech is a person become very skillful in everyday life. As a Theravadan, of course, you do not, general Pratimoksha tells oneself not to tell things that are not true, not use harsh and divisive and spiteful and passionate language, and ignorant language, divisive language, and gossiping. All these kind of things will not engage, because a practitioner just even merely as a pratimoksha vows. And a bodhisattva, of course, on top of that, even if one is not doing certain things, but you should still, the motivation with which you should tell whatever. Even you tell the truth, but why are you telling the truth? To reveal somebody, expose somebody so that they will be punished? That's what people are doing these days. Tell the truth or something, and then all they're telling the truth in order to expose somebody, to put them punished, and to keep them troubled, as if the people will not be seized by their own karma. The telling the truth has a from the Mahayana's point of view, what is your motivation of telling the truth? Motivation is more important than telling the truth. In the Vajrayana, there's nothing really to tell the truth. Everything is empty. everything is empty. Nothing is correct anyway. Nothing is true anyway. So what's the point of telling the lie on top of another lie? So in Vajrayana, everything is empty. Everything is just empty of true existence. So in any case, of course, in a socially speaking, in conventionally speaking, Vajrayanis can't do that. But in deep in their mind, they have to realize that. But outwardly, they should not say things that are harmful, divisive, and negative. In this kind of a social kind of a media age, we are referring to. There's so many immature people who have not understood Dharma at all. They have written books, they have become exponents of certain things, but the way they interpret it and the way they think is just completely shows there's no realization of these truths, teachings. And so telling the truth about someone else's misdeeds and exposing them as that is unprecedented thing in the world is not telling the truth. That is defaming somebody, So totally different thing, As if there were so many satisfactory people. The whole samsara is full of people with delusion and karma and afflictions. And who doesn't have transgressions? Who doesn't commit transgressions? Who is able to live 100% by the books of their precept? Nobody does. That's why in the Vajrayana, every day we practice Vajrasattva. I'm deluded. We have to say every day, I'm deluded by ignorance. We have to practice the Vajrasattva every day because we transgress our samayas every day. We have no pure vision, and we lack bodhicitta and right view and renunciation constantly. We know them, but we do not always able to practice them ourselves constantly. So therefore, For instance, telling the truth doesn't mean that if your intention is to harm somebody, to destroy somebody, then what to tell the truth is not telling the truth. Then your intention with which you telling the truth is to harm somebody. So therefore, that is not the telling the truth. That shows that the action of right speech is only right speech with the right intention. When we talk about right action and right speech, you need to have, there are four components: the object, the motivation, the action, and then the completion. The motivation of oneself telling something, the intention is to harm somebody, then even you're telling the truth, you're telling to harm somebody. Some people don't tell the truth with intention to protect someone from being harmed. So in Mahayana, the idea of telling the truth is not just outwardly what the society says, killing, stealing, and so on. Outwardly, they will not judge by the motivation. They will judge by how the action is consummated outwardly. But Mahayanas and teachings, you have to really careful with your own motivation. When some people are so dedicated to expose as if someone has committed on transgression, as if they never do themselves. Everybody is committing transgressions all the time. This is the nature of samsara. One shouldn't be so shocked and disappointed. That is, you stir somebody's stool, it will smell. Even yours is also, you stir it, it smells. So if you haven't forgotten, yours also smells just as bad. You have just as many flaws as well as others. So telling the flaws of others with intent to harm somebody is not telling the truth. That's violence. You're trying to harm somebody. They will be punished by their own action consequently, without you having to worry about them escaping the law or the karma. You can never escape from the karma. You may sometimes escape from the law, but you can never escape from the karma. So therefore, don't ever worry someone's action will escape unpunished. That never will. But fact that we feel we become dedicated to expose somebody's wrong action as we're telling the truth, we actually suffer the consequences. There's lots of people who thought they were telling the truth. Now they're alienated from their own community. Why? Because their intent was misguided. So we have to understand, when we say right action, right speech, right speech, they think they're telling the truth, but what did they do? They divided their little community, they caused so much schism, there's so much misunderstanding, they idealize as the people are perfect, super perfect. They didn't realize all sentient beings are deluded. That's why the first two noble truths, the truth of suffering. All sentient beings have suffering because they still have karma and affliction. So when you do notice somebody with karma and affliction, transgression, you should show compassion. That is the right action. Not judging someone, exposing as we have no flaws, anyone like that with others, and then becoming so intolerant, and then cause like a witch hunting. This is not Buddhism, let alone following any of the Eightfold Path. So we have to understand when we mean by right speech. Right speech means telling the truth. What's telling the truth means with what intention we want to tell the truth. So Buddha himself have taught very clearly how any action, be it physical or verbal, all has four factors: the object, the motivation, the action, and the completion. If the motivation with which we tell the truth, or sometimes even tell a white lie, there are a lot of times I'm sure you would tell white lies. Why it's white? Because your intention is to protect someone from being harmed immediately, even though they will not be protectable by their own wrong actions, but you are not going to increase on top of that by what you think is telling the truth. So there's lots of the times. Milarepa, for instance, he became one of the celebrated saints. He didn't tell the truth. When the hunter came, hunter Gompo Dorje came looking for his injured deer, which was limping and run past Milarepa. And a minute later, when the hunter came and asked for whether he has seen the the deer, injured deer, Milarepa denied. No, I didn't see it. So what did he do there? He didn't tell the truth. Why his intention was to protect not just the deer, but also protect the hunter himself from becoming another hunter, and he became one of the celebrated disciples. So this kind of understanding must be matured. Buddhists should have the understanding that all this judgment to each other is not Buddhism. You don't need Buddhism to judge each other's karma. Judeo-Christians are very good at doing that. You don't need to bring Buddhism. Buddhism is try to mind your own affairs, if you can, let alone trying to highlight as there are one or two odd people who has karma and who has affliction, and then try to highlight them, and the rest of one we are so perfect and only intolerant with the imperfect people. That is not right, neither right speech nor right action, both from the Theravada Mahayana, let alone from Vajrayana point of view. So when we talk about the third Eightfold Path, we're talking about right action. Right action is, of course, normally speaking, not destroying life, not killing, and of course, not killing is very much, of course, not a law, but not killing human beings is a law, But still, people kill, and some people would think they are all observing the not killing vow, but most people aren't able to, because everything we eat and drink and we own and possess are coming directly, indirectly through the process of killing and through causes of manufacturing. And the food processing itself is a not easy thing to. So that's why even if one takes one morsel of food, one should eat them with mindfully and kindly, and not think that it is your food is pure vegetarian and you think you are pure others. And there are other people who might be eating meat, but but then, yeah, that's right. How easy it is to avoid not killing if you are directly contributing to the consumption of meat and so on. So therefore, right action is not easy to observe. Not killing, and so on. All the thou shalt not, all the 5 precepts that people are recommended to prohibit themselves and practice are pertaining to every individual according to their levels of the practice. And nobody is perfect, and we ourselves included. So therefore, one has to, if one doesn't have right meditation, right mindfulness, if we count from the bottom, right meditation, right mindfulness, and right effort, right view, right effort, right livelihood, right speech, right action. Of course, because of that, how could you have a perfect life? Because self-discipline is suffering. Our discipline is failing us, not being able to abstain all the things. All the people are desiring food, desiring clothes, desiring status, and in desiring those things, then they go and kill. They go and contribute to killing, and they do business. And business basically white lies. Business people always tell lies. They don't call white lies. They call it business talk. They say, oh, this is the last 10 left in the shop. Oh, this is, when they have 100 in the stock, they put only 10 on the always telling lies. They think this is original. Oh, this he paid this like like this. They always, what kind of what kind of business is pure business. Very difficult to make business by telling the truth. You know. They know where it is produced, but they never say where it's actually produced. They tell you somewhere else it is produced. So 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 there is not easy way to live a right action, and same goes with sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct. Of course, sexual misconduct is a thing that concerns all society level, not just people who practice Buddhism or don't Buddhist. Even if you're not Buddhist, you're still answerable if you commit anything sexual crime, whether it's rape or whatever it is considered as a sexual misconduct by the law of the land. You don't have to be Buddhist to be observing sexual misconduct vows. Quite a lot of people's lives are destroyed by that. So therefore, just being able to be mindfully checking one's impulses and living by a best way of doing is a standard everybody expect in every society. The whole idea of people like Muslim people, they make their women to be completely covered, all the time, not just in temples or somewhere. That kind of modesty is really good based on very ancient kind of morals. But we have the whole immodestly dressed, thinking that is completely perfect, allowable, without realizing that kind of action itself is a sexual misconduct, basically revealing the body and enticing others, and then those things are socially quite inappropriate. But there are no such laws about that. People can it's art or something, free or something. And so in some countries where that rule of wearing your covering yourself properly is observed, if you don't, they'll make you to cover yourself. Say if you go to the Muslim land, you have to, all the women has to cover themselves. Why? Because you adhere to the law of the land, and the meaning of modesty means meaning of modesty. So immodesty is part of cause of the problems, as much as there are many things. Sexual misconduct. Often it's talking about one abusing the other, so on and so forth. You can see how many people want to prove that they have been abused, but often it's exactly opposite. There is no proof of their being abused. There have been proof of them trying to abuse others as they are abusers. So there is all kinds of problems. But this kind of misconduct of individuals are never escapable, karmically speaking. Whether they are caught or whether they are punished or whether they are convicted or not, they will suffer the consequences. The people have very unhappy relationships, not because in this life, but because of what they did in the past. So this kind of law of cause and effect is oneself to be mindful. So therefore, when a person becomes very, very mindful, where the meditative concentration is good, they will become very better in restraining their impulses, be they physical or be they verbal, be they sexual or whatever it is. Because people often judge others. They don't realize all sentient beings are sexual product. Their body is made out of hormones, and if it wasn't for the society that is making rules for each other, it isn't right or any wrong, in the old days there weren't any, but when people become more living in big cities and big communities, then it becomes much more stringent. There are many different rules have to be observed. In the traditional village communes where there's nomadic life, people live polygamously, it's not society thing is wrong, but those people in those countries, for them it's not a mixed sexual marriage. It is a way to support each other, a way to make them possible to live in such community, because they're so sparsely populated. They don't have people to help each other, and they try to stick together in that way. So all of these codes or conduct, social norms, is all totally different to different levels of society. But when you come to descend into the big cities and modern life, of course it has all those expectations. So the right, when we say Eightfold Path, the third one is Eightfold Path. The sixth one is the right action, and then the seventh one is right attitudes. So once you are able to practice the right meditation all the way, right mindfulness, so on, slowly, then your attitude is more important. Your attitude is the one which actually creates all perceptions. So you become much more perceptive of what you see are not what it is, but what your attitude about others. When you are very, very kind, then your attitudes of kindness will make all the good things of other people manifest. So right attitudes or right thought, because we are often experiencing what we think. It's very, very good to know that it is our thought that we make us to experience what we're going through, instead of the object or instead of the subject, instead of the things. But it's our own attitude about something or someone will make us to experience those. So if one can have right thoughts, which are thoughts that are kind, thoughts that are forgiving, thoughts that are loving and generous, and if you have a really generous thought, you will speak generously, you will speak compassionately, you will speak very inspiringly, very very tenderly. You can see even that your speech can be only as good as your attitude, So there is no, because if you speak something, people think that's your attitude, Yeah, if we're mindful of our attitude, then we become much more better at minding our speech, minding of our action, and minding of our right effort, and all. So these eightfold paths are not all to be treated as interlinear, They're all interconnected, So when you have the right attitudes, it seems you're able to restrain from saying bad words, but empower you to say kind, compassionate, magical words that draw friendship from others, and that inspires faith and hope and inspiration and mind of others, when you are able to use the right attitudes. So if your right attitude is often guided by the right mindfulness, the more you have right meditation, if you meditate really, you will see your attitudes are much more easy to spot check. You can spot check your attitudes first. We talk about Mahayana Buddhism, check your intention. Yeah, and before you tell what you think is the truth, before you sign the letters with some other people, check your motivation. Is that what you really want to do? What is your intention to do? Your intention is to prove to harm somebody, or your intention is really to benefit the world. You really think, check carefully. Then you realize, why don't you put a signature on an intention to benefit the world? That's exactly what bodhicitta motivation is. Right attitudes is try to see how check your intention all the time. Check your intention. Even you think you're telling the truth, check your intention. Is you're telling? What is the truth? Truth is only your perception anyway. If you think this is the truth, that's your perception. Your attitude makes you to think that is the truth. Your attitude will tell you, this is because of my greed, because of my desire, because of my anger, I'm therefore forming these attitudes. If you think that, then that will help you to tailor your action and speech even more skillfully than before. So it's very good. The more you become cognizant of your attitudes, rather than the behavior of other people, rather than the flaws of alleged flaws of others, if your intention with which you think and judge other people's flaw, you check your own attitude. Why are you doing this? Don't you have just as many, if not more, flaws like that yourself? If you do, why don't you go and curtail those instead of you putting signature onto to prove that somebody did is wrong? You know, can you ever dare to put a signature to tell somebody's mistakes after you really understand the meaning of right attitude? You can't. You can't. How could you say that when one is full of flaws? How can you put your name under under some people? You know, recently I saw a documentary in Dutch Welle, and this again, some people say His Holiness Dalai Lama did not put his signature. He removed his signature to support these people who wanted to see some people punished because of their wrong action. They think His Holiness Dalai Lama should be dragged because of their disgruntled views. Why should His Holiness Dalai Lama should be used? His signature should be used to fulfill their deluded, acrimonious intention. Of course, His Holiness Dalai Lama has a great kindness and compassion and wisdom where he put his signature or not. Just because there's a group of big mouth people wanting to raise an issue doesn't mean His Holiness Dalai Lama should be. And they think that His Holiness Dalai Lama not putting his signature is a betrayal. This kind of people are very dangerous, because His Holiness Dalai Lama is a living bodhisattva, Avalokiteshvara, if not teacher to those people. To say something like that is very, very offensive to the whole Tibetan Buddhist community. Because however many of them has disgruntled views of somebody, doesn't mean His Holiness Dalai Lama should be dragged into it, and because he may have received them cordially and nicely, saying he will support their views, and doesn't mean His Holiness will put his signature among them who they themselves wanted to a cause of trouble. Of course, His Holiness Dalai Lama not putting his signature there is not a betrayal. He's a bodhisattva. He's a living bodhisattva. A bodhisattva will not be sort of threatened by others that he should put his signature to say these people are wrong. I mean, a bodhisattva would rather cry and plead not to ask them to do that than put their name to say such and such is wrong. Bodhisattvas would hesitate to point the flaws of other people. Even if 20 other people say, could you please help us to prove him wrong? But the bodhisattva, would the bodhisattva go under the influence of 10 deluded people in order to harm many other sentient beings? No. Bodhisattvas will do exactly the opposite. So the bodhisattva would prevent the harming the majority, and therefore it's not a betrayal. That's exactly, bodhisattva should not be incitable by other people's acrimony and aggression and jealousy and anger. And so we were talking about right attitude. So when someone doesn't do something, it's because their attitude is totally different. Right attitude. And then the first, which is here in this case the last, is right view. The reason why people are still struggling on the path is because they haven't realized the right view. If they realize the right view, you will see all unsatisfactory things when all samsara or very existence is unsatisfactory. So if you see unsatisfactoriness because of people's karma or actions or suffering or conduct, you meditate on that. That's the nature of existence. That's you too have many unsatisfactory things. You too have many unsatisfactories. You made many U-turns. And look at your own life before you see somebody else's unsatisfactoriness and as unprecedented. You will see that complete those people who went and put the signatures themselves, now realizing they have been themselves doing that quite a lot of the time. And they forgot. They completely forgot that the first truth of unsatisfactoriness. The first seal of Dharma is all compounded, all afflictive emotions are unsatisfactory. Yes, that's exactly it. You are experiencing nothing what people did, but your own unsatisfactoriness. That is the right view. That is the right view. Yet nevertheless, these things are all impermanent. Some give yourself a break and give others a break. So don't stay in the past. Don't stay 1993 or something when they talk about 1993. Don't stay in that. That's 40, 50 years ago. That's 40 years ago. Don't stay in that. Come on, move on. Everything is impermanent. Remember the second seal of Dharma. Remember, everything is impermanent, and don't stay stuck in that time. And His Holiness didn't betray those groups. He was being true to his Bodhisattva vows. How could his name should be dragged down to fulfill their disgruntled views? I'm very glad that His Holiness office and His Holiness did not give in to that. Why? Because he's a Bodhisattva. He's not a disgruntled, deluded person who is trying to find another person's person with a high office name to use that in order to inflict harm to somebody. His Holiness is not to be used as an instrument like that. So why? Because everything is unsatisfactory. This is as long as we have afflicted emotions, that's the right view. The first of the Eightfold Path is right view. Right view is if you have the benefit of comprehending and realizing the meditative concentration, you will realize all unsatisfactory things stems from your own karma and affliction, not from others. And thank goodness, even that is impermanent. Give yourself a break as well as others. So everything is impermanent, and don't dwell on that. And there is no self. True point finger true. And then therefore also there is no pointer. There is no pointer. So do not waste your finger to point something. There is nothing there that truly exists from its own side. It's all dependent. You're completely imposing on something as if Buddhism has a hierarchical church. We don't have hierarchical church. Everybody is responsible to mind their karma, whether it's good that they are performing or bad they need to correct. It is up to them. It is not because there is a hierarchy gives an order and everything become all perfect. It's not like that. And often people think like that. In Buddhism, we don't have hierarchical church. We don't have. Everybody is answerable to their own karma. Your own creator of your good karma as well as bad karma. If we go to somebody else, then they say, "Oh, that's his karma. What can I do? Talk to him." And if he's try to be as the best as possible as a practitioner, he is still probably trying, but he will still have flaws. He will still have karma. He will still fail. So it's quite natural to those who are trying will fail. Those who are perfect doesn't have to try. Okay, so I don't know why you're born in the first place in the world if you're so perfect. Those who fail are because they're in samsara. Those who are unsatisfactory, it's because they're in samsara. I don't know why few of you got your head inside this samsara, which is full of unsatisfactory. Why did you find your nose in this world in the first place? Why didn't you keep out of samsara? Why didn't you keep out of samsara and go to your miserable nirvana? And then you will have no one to complain about. Samsara is full of unsatisfactoriness. That's the right view. And then you have to be compassionate to each other. And that's the right view, Because sentient beings are deluded without knowing how they are, therefore we have to be kind to each other. Instead of being judgmental, instead of being so intolerant, instead of trying to get someone's name in order to perfect the world. You cannot do that. The world has never been perfect. Never been perfect, never will be perfect. They say samsara, endlessness of samsara. Samsara itself doesn't really exist as long as deluded sentient beings like us persist. So you couldn't expel a couple of terrible people in your mind and then your day will be perfect. It never will be. You probably left many other groups. You probably left your home. You probably left your mother. Probably left your relationship. Then become a monk. Then become a nun. Then change tradition. Then change robes. And then again disrobe. You did all of that yourself so many times. So that shows how unsatisfactory everyone's life has been. So there is nothing shockingly new to anybody. So these are nature of existence. We should understand that and then treat with compassion towards each other. And when you do that, then you have right view, because only right view gives you the right bodhicitta. Without right view, your bodhicitta is selfish citta. So selfish citta has to be curtailed and has to be bodhicitta. When you have bodhicitta, then even those people who are completely unscrupulous, completely untogether, used to develop profound loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta motivation for the sake of them. These will be the right view. Right view coming from meditation. Whether you practice selflessness, right view of selflessness, right view of emptiness of phenomena, all of these culminates to being actually practiced. So the Eightfold Path, which is the fourth Noble Truth, is actually the complete path in itself. And the truth of cessation, which is the third Noble Truth, is only a result of following the truth of power. So if you have still miseries, a lot of difficulties, it's because you are still struggling on the path. And so no wonder there is no cessation in you, because there is no true actual path. If the path itself not followed by ourselves, you will have misery, you will have a lot of views and opinions and grievances, dissatisfaction, and that's the nature of samsara. That's not nature of someone else's doing. That's the nature of your own deluded perception. When we understand that, then you will restrain. You will restrain ill will. You will, killing is bad, but it's harder to develop, get rid of ill will. Lots of people are abstaining these. They become vegan. They become all sort of outwardly, they do all the right things, but inwardly doing lots of ill will, lots of resentment. And that's the violence of violence. Violence isn't just abstaining physical violence. If you're doing ill will, if you're doing resentment, if you have acrimony, if you have aversion to something, that's the violence. That's the violence that's harming you and the other more than anybody can harm you. Therefore, ill will, doing ill will is the doing ill will is the real violent. So that's why it's important to understand the Eightfold Path as complete Theravada Mahayana Vajrayana path. It's not just an elementary introduction to Buddhism, the Eightfold Path. And of course, depending to how individuals fare in their actual practice of meditation and the discipline, and therefore self-discipline, meditation, and wisdom. The more meditation practice happens in the person's life in form of sadhanas, in form of calm abiding, or in form of bodhicitta or deity yoga, whatever you do, that would greatly, I would say, nurture your wisdom. You will have a much more wisdom discerning the right view, the right attitudes, all of this. So right view and right attitudes is the wisdom aspect of it. And right action, right speech, and right livelihood, these are under discipline, self-discipline. And right mindfulness, right meditative concentration is the meditative concentration. And the right effort is to apply to all of the above. So you can see how all the Eightfold Paths are eightfold in the sense that they all have to intersect it. They're all included. 8 in 1, they call it. All this 8 is in one path, following path. And if you're skillful, of course, you will greatly experience. But only people who have reached first bhumi or higher has the right view. Okay, what now right view I'm talking about is the conceptual right view. And maybe if you comprehend this very well, your thinking will have right view. The actual right view comes from the meditative concentration. If you have developed the special insight, then you have the right view, true right view. Right now, our right view is very conceptual. It comes and goes, it stays theoretically, but in practice, sometimes right view isn't kicking in because there is no right meditation to empower us to put in right action. So, right discipline, the discipline component is more like action, and the view is the right view, and meditation is the meditation. So when we talk in terms of view, action, and meditation, all these Eightfold Paths are combined together. In the conventional Buddhist sense, Buddhist teaching, they got 3 higher training: higher training of self-discipline, higher training of meditation, higher training of wisdom. So with this, we will conclude here. Thank you, everybody, for your company this morning. Thank you very much. We do the dedication of merit. Excuse me. Oh, by the mere me horga, the varmens gehonnes, me heile bere, obe brande, oceana, behode senede, herenda, mayana jeje, whatever, mere da hege, me obe be castellas, to hold mayana jeje, courage, manju shinyode, as ama da badra de lava, following all the hezamba, aja de dege, o de mere, me de hezele, body cheda, teba, vedana yedans, where has been bo, me relive the generation. Thank you, everyone. Those who are on Zoom, nice to see you all. All of you on Facebook. I'm sure you can see me, but I can't see you. Thank you very much. As well as all of you there on YouTube. Of course, I can't see you, but you can see yourself. That's why it's called YouTube. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.